Hi everybody, I'm here to make a video comparing performance on the OSBuddy Pro OpenGL mode in Windows 10 versus in Linux. So let's start by looking at my PC specs real quick. So we can see here in the Nvidia control panel, I have a GTX 1070 with this driver version, which is the newest one. And we have a i5 6600K, 3.5 gigahertz. I've not overclocked that. 16 gigs RAM on Windows 10 Pro. So let's go back to the game here. I'm running this in 1440p resolution, and I'm just in the Yanil bank here. And you can see the frame rate in the top. I'm getting about 33 frames a second right now. I'm recording this with OBS with the Nvidia encoder, and it hasn't really affected my frame rate much since I started recording, so that shouldn't be a problem here. I can move the camera around and it's sticking right at about 30 frames a second. So let's try a few other places. Let's head to Varrock here. See, it's gone up a little bit. 33, 34 frames a second. Not great. It's working, but it's for a GTX 1070. You definitely hope for better than this. So let's go somewhere a little more demanding. Alright, so I came up here to the Arceus library because this is a place that has always kind of tanked my frame rate in the past. And on the bright side, it's not really any worse than it was before. Getting about 30, 32 frames a second. And everything looks pretty good. It's a little choppy compared to where we should be here. You can still see some graphical glitches here. The stairs are covered up by the floor, but definitely not the best. Just so everybody can see my settings, you have OpenGL turned on, of course. Anti-aliasing is on, and I did turn off the camera zoom. I just use the built-in zoom. I have it pulled out all the way in the game settings. So the last place I wanted to check out here is just the top of Lumbridge Castle, and you can see the draw distance is pretty far. You can see out in the distance where it hasn't loaded any farther, but you can still see pretty far. And the frame rate again is right at 31 right now, and it's pretty steady. It hasn't really gone above 35 at all. So that's how the game runs in Windows at this resolution with my hardware. So let's go over into Linux and see how it compares. Alright, so we're back here in the same spot we left off. We're in Linux now. And just to start off, I should mention that the frame rate right here, it's fluctuating between like 39 and 40. Before I started the recording, I was getting 42, so the recording process is taking a little bit of a hit on the frame rate, but not a huge one. Just worth mentioning. So before we get to that, let's quick take a look at the Nvidia settings here. You can see again, GTX 1070, same hardware, same computer. You can see it has 8 gigs of RAM. I don't know why it reported 16 in the Windows settings, because it has 8. And real quick, you can see the Nvidia driver version is 375.26. I'm not sure if that's the newest, but it's what I have. And yeah, we're still running in 1440p resolution. And it doesn't make a difference, but this is a 144 Hz monitor I'm running on, but old school Runescape won't run any higher than 50 frames a second, so that's not an issue. Okay, so back to the game. You can see, as we move the camera around, fluctuating between 35 and 40 frames a second in that area. Let's climb down and see what happens. Again, we're getting 30 to 40. It's definitely getting a higher maximum than we saw in Windows. So let's go to Varrock. And we're not hitting 50, which I can normally hit 50 when I do this. So I'm not sure why I'm not getting as high. It's probably because of the recording, but it is smoother than it was in Windows, where we're maintaining right around 40 frames a second most of the time, which is nice. So let's head back to the ArcCast library. Alright, so we're upstairs in the library here, and again we're getting it's fluctuating a little more, but it's staying around 40 frames a second most of the time. And you can move around and it drops a little bit, about 36. But it's not hitting 50, which I was hoping to be able to record some footage at a smooth 60 frame, smooth 50 frames a second, which unfortunately I don't think I'll be able to do that, just because of the overhead of actually recording the gameplay while I'm playing it. But I know that I am able to hit 50 frames a second in this game pretty consistently under Linux, and I have not been able to hit that once under Windows. So I'm not sure if it's a driver thing, or just a problem with Windows, or maybe a problem with OSBuddy, but there's definitely noticeable performance improvements using the OpenGL mode in Linux versus using it in Windows. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions or you want me to test something else, then I can certainly look into it. Alright, I just wanted to add one more thing in this video here. So this is a screenshot I took after I stopped the recording and closed OBS completely. And as soon as I did that, the frame rate shot right up to 50 frames a second here, and even in the library. So I was playing for about an hour on Windows before I recorded this video, and I didn't have any kind of OBS running or anything, and even doing that, I was never able to get above about 35 to 40 frames a second at the most in Windows, and that was in areas like Motherlode Mine and the NL Bank as opposed to the library. So there's definitely something going on here that's causing, sorry I keep bringing that up, that's causing the frame rate to be significantly higher in Linux than in Windows. And I was unable to record it at 50 frames a second, but it does play like that under Linux for me.